First of all, Dan, tell me about, obviously, Democrats have really got you in their sights. Why do you think so early in this process?
Well, I think they're running scared. Ever since Virginia, New Jersey, and Massachusetts, everybody's scrambling to be a conservative, even though they haven't been that before. And I think they see this as a potentially real threat, so they're trying to snuff it out before it gets started. It's not working. Most of the allegations are factually wrong. And I think we're going to be fully transparent with everything. And I think when they find out, they're going to be very embarrassed.
Let's talk about some of those. It's basically the Virginia, North Carolina, don't own any property in Indiana allegation. Where do you stand? Where is that?
Well, I now have a house here in north side of Indianapolis, near north side. Secondly, the house in North Carolina is shortly going to be listed for sale with a broker. Thirdly, the townhouse that we have in Washington, because my work has been centered in Washington, will keep with the hopes that if I'm elected, I'll have a place to rest my head at night while I go and do the work in the Senate. So we have made the decision that back home again in Indiana sounds awful darn good. Let me just explain the North Carolina situation, because that thing's been way out of line. It was at the Republican convention, and I was following Rudy Giuliani and Mike Huckabee to address the North Carolina delegation that was there for the convention. And after these two guys had laid out all their political stuff and jokes and everything else, it was sort of like, Dan Coates is here from Indiana. I said, look, my parents are residents, my wife's parents are residents of North Carolina. And we have a second home down there because my wife wants to be close to them. They're 90 and 91. We don't have that many years left. They don't want to move north because of the snow and the cold and so forth. So let's get a second house there so we can spend some time down there with them. And that's the situation. My father-in-law said, now, we don't want this to be we appreciate you being here for us. We don't want it to be a detriment for you running in Indiana, and so we understand all that. But it's just a big deal about nothing, and I really think that the focus should be on what is it going to take to turn this country around from where it's been going this last year, sinking us into a whole debt hole that we may not come out of, and a liberal agenda that is not supported by Hoosiers, but yet has been supported by Senator Bye.
There have been some in your own party who are running against you, in fairness, who are also making a point of your career as a lobbyist, representing countries or individuals that many Americans might not like.
They're going to be embarrassed when they find out what the true story is. They've bought hook, line, and sinker into the Democrat line, and the Democrats didn't do their homework and due diligence because when all the facts come out, and we're going to make it fully transparent, we're in that process now, except Washington's shut down, they'll be embarrassed because they're way off the mark.
So you would say to even those in your own party, they're wrong?
They've been singing the tunes that the Democrats want them to sing, and it's not factually correct.
What about those who would say you had the opportunity to run against Senator Bye, then Governor Bye before, and did not?
I had committed to term limits. I honored those. I didn't want to be one of those politicians that said one thing and did another. Secondly, this is a time of crisis for our nation, and I'm answering a call to service, as I've done a number of other occasions in life with the Supreme Court nomination, the Germany connection, and so forth. And the alarm over the future of this country and the impact our children are going to have to deal with from a debt standpoint. And I wasn't ready to say I'm going to stand back and be a critic without having the opportunity to do something about it. And when two of the leading candidates dropped out of the race against Senator Bye, and I was pressed on by a number of Hoosiers and others saying, you may be the only one that can raise the money and put the network together and have the credibility to go toe-to-toe with them. Will you please rethink all this? And I said, looked at Marcia, and we talked about it, prayed about it, and counseled with some people and said, back home in Indiana sounds pretty good for us.
The reality of politicking, raising the signatures, that's a tougher thing than people on the outside realize. Can you get the signatures in time?
We have hundreds of people working for us around the state. It is an enormous task to get it in such a short period of time. I'm very encouraged by the progress that we made so far, and we're going to get there.